Thank you girls for coming. So today is the start of our Drop Everything and Read week. But we will not be dropping everything and reading today because we have our very special guest, Elaine Harrington, also known as Temperamental Miscellaneous. And Elaine is a very well-known artist and performer and singer and writer. And she's here to promote Drop Everything and Read with us and to promote the book in bag policy. So we always have a book in our bag. So without further ado, Elaine.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Miss Purcell. Thank you. Thanks everyone for having me, first of all. My name is Elaine Harrington. I spell my name with a Y. That's what they call me in college, Elaine with a Y, because there's another Elaine there with an I. She spells her name the conventional way, but I have to be different, so I spell my name Elaine with a Y, right? So it's in the middle. So on that note of my name and my title and my persona or whatever, Miss Purcell mentioned about how I'm a little bit well known, especially around this neck of the woods, because I'm from Finglas originally. And when I was coming up in Finglas, I was actually Elaine with an I, and when I was 19 I decided I'd change my name, and I also adopted a rap name because I'm a rapper as well, right? So I'm kind of freestyling right now. I have a little bit of a introduction and a layout of how I want to do this, but I'm going to just freestyle all over the place, so bear with me. So anyway, so Elaine, so I decided that picking an identity was really important for me, right? So picking a rap name is really important. Artists do it, everybody does it. They pick a name like a pseudonym, right? Or a nickname, a pseudonym, a title. See, I wanted to have this control over my identity in the form of a name, right? So something a little bit different than your conventional name that you're given at birth. So I picked the name Miscellaneous. Why would I pick the name Miscellaneous? Miscellaneous, what does it mean, this word? Anybody know? No. Right, miscellaneous, everything and anything, nothing in particular. It means like random things. If you've seen a box with some things in it, a lot of different things, it might say miscellaneous items. That might be the title on the box, right? So I decided I'd call myself Miscellaneous when I was 19. But to go back a little bit, when I was 13 or 14, that's when I was introduced to hip hop. We know what hip hop is?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, hip hop is? What is it? Oh, dancing, music, very good. You're naming all the elements of hip hop. So hip hop is a cultural movement. It's not only like a musical genre, it's a cultural movement, okay? So hip hop has 4 elements. You said one of them was dancing, right? And the other is music, so that'd be like DJ, like scratching and that, and beat juggling and so on. And the other one it would be graffiti. You can do legitimate graffiti as well. It doesn't always have to be bombing, which is illegal graffiti, right? So you can do the proper way or the legit way. And what else is there? And the last elements of hip hop. Think about it. So you got with dancing, you got the movement. With DJing, you got the rhythm and the music. With graffiti, you got the visual, verbal culture. On that note of verbal, there's a clue. Verbal, the last element. Yeah, well, not me exactly, but yeah, what I represent, which is I'm a rapper. No. Right, so verbal communication, so that's what it is. As well, sometimes I call like a beatbox is like a beatboxer. We all know what that is. Anyone beatboxing?
Yeah, I know.
You know what beatboxing is? Right, cool. So I always like to include beatboxing in between DJing and rapping because it's verbal, it's vocal, but it's also rhythm. So every MC should be able to do a little bit of a beatbox. I'm not brilliant at it, but I can do one. If anyone wants to spit a rhyme, I can give you a 4/4 beat like. It's very important to be able to keep time, and that's all it is, right? Like the dancers, right? I know it's nothing special. You should hear some of my friends beatboxing. Anyway, so there's also another way of communicating, and we're going to talk about communication a lot because I brought a lot of my books that I'd be reading. I laid them out there, hard copies, you know. So we're going to talk a lot about communication, but another form of communication in terms of hip hop would be beat rhyming. So that's what do you think beat rhyming is? Have a guess. Think about the word, think about the phrase beat rhyming, and think about what we just talked about in terms of hip hop. Rhyming, but add a beat with it, absolutely, that's bang on, it's simple, like miscellaneous, it's simple, right? Everything and anything, nothing in particular. Beat rhyming is where guys or girls, right, because there's a lot of female beatboxers or beat rhymers, they beatbox and they rhyme simultaneously. What does that mean? They do it at the same time because they're amazing and because they have stamina, because they have vocal stamina and power. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. So yeah, so basically I wanted to tell you who I am, where I'm from, and where I am now, okay? So basically, I've talked a little bit about hip-hop. So when I was 14, what age are we here? We're junior cycles, so we're like 13 to 15, right? Everybody's 13 to 15 except for the girls that are mentors down the back. Where are you at? Oh, there you are. Right, so yours are like 17, right? 16? It's important. I feel numbers are usually not very important for me. Sorry with the maths and science trip, but numbers, like, words are my favourite thing, right? So it's important, but sometimes, you know, it's important to know where we are in terms of where we are in our class, in society. That's very important for me. That's one of my main topics, right? So I'm coming from a working class place in my life, so that's important for me to know where I come from socially, right? To know where I'm going, to find out where I'm going, to find out what I'm good at, right? That was part of my journey, right? So it all started when I was 13, 14, when I called myself temperamental, and that comes from the word temperamental, which means someone going like this, that means they're really thinking. Yeah. Temperamental. What does it mean? Come on, just be free. You don't have to worry about if you're wrong or right, you know. Thrash it out. Temperamental. What you use on Facebook all the time when you want to like someone's comment or love it, or you angry at it, or you're sad or whatever. What are those emotions? Right? What?
Oh my God, did you say that, girl?
Reactions.
I actually said that.
Nice. Did you say that? Very good. Fair play. Right, so reactions. So I heard reactions here and emotions, right? So responses, reactions, emotions. So temperamental was me responding to how I felt and how I thought, right? So so for me, like the way I started to play with words, right? I'm talking about literary culture for me, how verbal culture is so important. So it started off with me thinking about temper, about how I felt, like my mood, right? Temper. So I thought, like, I associated temper with like the heart, right? And then mental, like with the psyche, so the mind. So I used to live up here, kind of always in my head. I was a real thinker, real cerebral, right? And I really wanted to live in my heart and in my body and be present, but I just couldn't because I was always thinking, right? So it turned out to be a good thing in the end, and I'll show you how on this journey of me telling you who I am and why I'm here today to tell you about. So basically I call myself temperamental, and I decided I'd be a real rapper and I would play with words, right? So instead of saying temperamental miscellaneous, I said temper hyphen. You know what the hyphen is? Yeah? That little, yeah, I never know how to, like a little dash, a minus, it's like a minus, right, you know? So you got temperamental, so I always felt like there was something special about the way the words looked on the page. And I felt real validated when I went into school, like this is primary school, and they'd be teaching me about, I'll show you some of my books later, but they'd be telling me about like W.B. Yeats. Anybody know W.B. Yeats? No, you don't do Yeats anymore?
He's the poet.
He's the poet, brilliant. Okay, wicked, exactly. And you know what? I was a real fan of him. Everybody taught me and my sister were real swats because we loved Yeats before they were teaching Yeats in school. But they did. They taught us about Yeats, and they taught us about the way that poetry looked on the page. You know, so that was really important for me when I started to think about poetry and rap. And compare the two, compare and contrast. I used to be comparing. Does anybody do that? They compare and contrast two poems or two pieces of writing. Yeah. Maybe the senior years do it, right? But you got that to look forward to, and that's really, really good tool. I'll talk a little bit as well about tools, but that's such a good tool for me. So I was comparing myself to Yeats, like to a modern kind of Yeats. And I thought temper hyphen mental was pretty good because it was showing that there was a division between those two words, and there was a division between those two experiences. Temper, the heart; mental, the head or the mind. So there's a division between them. So through miscellaneous and through that name and that title and that finding myself and my character and my persona through rap and through literature and through reading and through learning at large, I really connected the head and the heart, you know, and that's why I'm here today, and I'm able to even speak to you young people, and to look and to communicate and to connect with you and to feel grounded and contented and free in doing that. So on that note, I think I'm going to read from the page first. I get the page over and done with, because even in the poetry world, sometimes people don't really respect when you're reading from the page. These days there's like a high standard for poets and for rappers. You need to know everything off by heart. You know that phrase, off by heart? Yeah. Yeah, or you need to be, and they call it in the acting world, in theatre, they call it like off book, so you can't be looking at your scripts. You know, so it's real pressure to be like that, right? So, however, I'm still going to read one from the page. It's called Trotting Talisman. And a gentleman asked me to write this. He wanted me to write on the theme of horses. I think I performed this as well with the Bowra for that previous event that the senior girls were saying they saw me at. So anyway, there's references here. What I want to tell you about this piece, right, is that I was honoured that someone was able to ask me to contribute this to a piece of literature. So it was in like a magazine or a book of poems and articles about, modern literature, about contemporary modern new literature. And hip hop is really important for that, and spoken word poetry is really important, and that it's seen and that it's viewed and that it's read from the page and live. So here we go. Trotting Talisman. Maternal mare galloping, word upon fools stumble, juxtaposed foes cantering. Weather-worn war depiction, cart before victim, hero sought Leander's lantern. Lion-tailed, clumsy hooved, only due to your man-made shoes. Your master's stretched greedy grimace, the race shall always lose. You do not blush, won't yield to woe, self-knotted by bridle, self o'er the cliff you throw. Freed by madness, wild is your truth tame. Forelock triumphant and framing, strawberry blonde mane. Silent pride, poxed by human error, contaminants break in by inducing terror. Walking, jumping, trawling, companion, feeling, thinking, dreaming, stallion. You slip on dew graced tarmac, Adam. I feign to see not your shame, crimson clad and black, my onyx, jewel born of celestial myth. Nature's conflict of elements, dental dominance reduced by bit. Coupled bond, sense purity, virgin's lap to soothe upon. Grasp your crest for security, fair palm to rest your chin groove on. Boxer, gunpowder, Tirnanog, Schleppnir, Kelpie, you care not for titles, words cower beneath your mute solemnity. Equity. We love you more than we can offer generously. How many hands high is your trust in the enemy? Thank you. So first of all, before I start going on and saying anything about it and telling you the meaning of it, I know it's a bit it's elusive. So that means that a lot of the meaning might be vague, or it might escape you at the first glance or the first listen. But if you were really truly listening, give me some feedback. Tell me what you tell me what you heard or what you remember from that. Anything you felt. You know it was about horses, right? I've got all the time. Just take your time. I'm not shy with quietness.
Classes, in about 1 minute's time, it's time for drop everything and read. So with your teacher's permission, could you please stop what you're doing now and get your books ready, and then I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you very much.
We're listening, girls, today.
So we're listening.
You said like dreaming and all that.
Say louder.
You said like dreaming and all
I
that.
talked about dreaming, yeah, so it was kind of dreamy, so that's nice. I'm glad you noticed that, because when he asked me to talk about horses, I don't have personal experience with horses, but I do know that a lot of the boys and girls that I grew up with and travellers and so on would have a lot of horse culture involved in their lives. It would be a very important route in their culture, and even in Ballymun there used to be a lot of horse culture. So for that, I suppose what I needed to do is I was thinking a lot about like Irish mythology, and I even mentioned like an Irish mythological horse there, Tirnanog. Does anyone know the story of Tirnanog? Does anybody want to synopsize that story of Tirnanog? Think about it while I get the book to tell you where it is. Here it is. Yeah, go ahead. Anybody want to synopsize it? So you want to squash it down and tell me where did Tirnanog feature in Irish mythology?
He got on the horse and he fell off and died.
Who was on the horse?
The fella.
Right, good.
I think it was.
Ocean, yeah?
The white one.
Okay.
There's actually
Well, anyway, the white horse and what was it?
there's a place called Tirnanog in Ballymun.
So a place called Tirnanog in Ballymun. Brilliant. So, tell me more about that.
This is a church called Tirnanog.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Why does that make sense to call it Cresh Tirnanog?
Because Tirnanog was a place that like you went and you never go.
Right, and what's it mean directly? What's the direct translation? Osperla? Tirnanog.
Always young.
Olga's young. Yeah.
You never. Always stay young.
Who does Irish? Tirnanog. What?
Land of the young.
Land of the Young. Obviously, Google that. Did you ask Uncle Google or did you ask your memory? No, I'm only messing. I'm only joking. No, so there. So anyway, so I actually stroked the book of my mother. I borrowed that long-term lens. I have that about 20 years or something. I think I took it from my mother's shelf a long time ago, and that's where when I flick through that, sometimes I don't read books from top to toe, but sometimes I'll flick through them and, you know, don't read them at the normal pace that you read them. I'm a terrible slow reader. I'll tell you more about that. I'm like my granddad. I said to my granddad one time, Granddad, I can't read. I just take too long. He says, no, Elaine, you're like me. You don't read, you study. And in that moment when he said that, all the shame of years feeling like I was a slow reader fell away. Because he said I was like him, and it was simply because I studied. I didn't read. So then I started taking notes in the margins, of course. I wouldn't write in a library book, only maybe with a pencil on a post-it. But I'd start in my own books, writing little notes and all that. You'll see them, all the evidence is there, like little marking in the margins, things that inspired me and so on, right? I'll tell you about the ridicule that I got when I was about 9, when I started reading dictionary, when I was in 4th or 5th class or whatever. And when I would use kind of maybe words that I was inspired by, we'll go back to the poem, right? But on this note, when I would use like words that like I noticed or I took note of in literature, right? Which means basically in any books or anything I was reading, if I would reapply them in situations in conversation or in school or class or whatever, you know, people would say to me, oh, did you eat a dictionary for breakfast? So I just have to notice, and I have to share with you that I did used to get ridiculed for speaking above what my peers thought was like my standard, my limit, like, because I don't know, can you figure that out? What do you think about that? As young people, what do you think about that, about what people were saying to me?
Like you're smarter than you should be for your age.
Like you're not allowed.
That's great. I took it as something completely different. That's brilliant positive way of looking at it, yeah.
Like they say, like, oh, like the words that you're learning are like are too big for it. Like you should just learn like the standard. Or
So that's what they meant.
Age,
Yeah. So they were really kind of being quite poetic. That's very typical, you know, of our culture, New Irish and Irish culture, to be very, you know, lyrical. So they were actually saying, you ate a dictionary for breakfast. Of course they didn't mean literally, they were talking symbolically. They were using it as a symbolic phrase to let me know that I thought I was too big for my boots. Oh, there I go again. There's another kind of example of how we use our literature in a poetic, stylistic way. You're too big. You think you're too big for your boots. Oh, she started to smell her own boots now. Do you ever hear phrases like that? You know what I mean? They're notable phrases and they're very valuable phrases. So anyway, so go back to the poem if we can remember what I'm saying. So I said boxer, gunpowder, Tiernanog, Schleppnir, Kelpie. So I mentioned this character, this Tiernanog character, which was also in a film. Did anybody see Into the West?
Yeah.
You seen
He
it?
dies in the so
Oh,
sad.
don't do a spoiler job, right? So Into the West for people who didn't see it, right? Tiernanog is the name of the white horse, like in Irish mythology when it's the name of Tiernanog, of the land, right? So I used that because I wanted to go a little bit deeper than current. I wanted to go back into the past and bring it into the present as well, right? So what about this? Lion-tailed, clumsy hooved, only due to your man-made shoes. What do you think of that? What type? Yeah. What type of, like, these are, everyone's crazy about these today, these magical kind of mythological makey-uppy horses. What are a version of a horse? Clue, it's got a big unicorn, right? Everybody crazy about unicorns these days. You see all these emoticons with unicorns. So I'm referring to a unicorn there. I really looked into this. I wanted to make this poem real true to life, right? But true to life, she says when she's talking about unicorns. But anyway, I found out that unicorns not only they got like a lion's tail. That's what unicorns have. Did anybody know that?
No.
Cool. So anyway, I found out that. That's what I learned. And only due to your man-made shoes. What do we think about that? Clumsy hooves, only due to your man-made shoes. Any interpretation of that? Right, cool. Anyway, so basically what I'm talking about there is I'm talking about like horses, you know. Does anybody work with horses or anything?
The horses shoe.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a whole culture of shoeing horses, right? Yeah. So basically that's what I'm referring to. So I thought that was really important, you know. So I'm talking about history and about culture and about all these different things related to horse culture and so on and so forth. So cool. So somebody asked me recently in school, she says, do you still play the bowron? So does anybody know what the bowron is, where it comes from? Comes from a horse? Come from a horse's skin. A unicorn skin makes it really magical. What skin does bowron have? A kangaroo? I'm loving that answer. What is it? A cow. It's actually not. It's not cow skin. See if you can tell by the sound of it. Have a think about it. It's not a cow. It's not a horse.
In Ireland,
Is there some
Irish.
in Irish? An Irish animal, yeah. We're getting to
A pig.
a pig. Actually, do you know what? This one is a pig skin. This one is a pig skin, but it's not usually pig skin. It's usually a goat skin, I believe. Did you? I beg your pardon, I didn't hear you. You need more vocal capacity, you know what I'm saying? Shout it out to me, right? So this one is actually a pig skin, and I inherited this. You know what that means?
You got from someone before you.
I got it from someone before me. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the bowron helps me, because as you can see, when you're only reading off the page, you feel very kind of on your own. So this rhythm does help me. Like the way in hip hop, the DJ helps the rapper, and the beatboxer. I can't do a jig in a beatbox. The beatbox has to be 4/4. Anybody do music? Does anybody do music in this school? Very good. Right, tell us it yourself as well. Brilliant. So tell me a little bit about rhythms.
So it's like, so say if you're like clapping to a song.
Mm-hmm.
So say you go like so like clapping along to, well that would be me. Like clapping along to what the words are.
Uh-huh.
So say, I don't know, take some random song for example and you clap along to the words.
Yes. Okay, so you'd be keeping time in maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, wicked. Right, and would you tend to tap your toe or snap your finger? What else could you do instead of clapping? I told you the answers, but what could you do instead of clapping your hands?
You could do that, or snap your fingers.
Snap your fingers, I can only snap one of them, right? Or tap your foot, yeah, and that tends to be what people do. And I tend to do that, look, she's getting it down in the back. Right, that tends to be what I do. Just
We
to
had performers in here. We had 8 girls who did wrap around last year.
You got some singers? Right, wicked. Sweet. So do we sing any songs, any kind of Irish ballads or anything? What do you sing? Or do you sing like any soul or hip hop kind of tunes?
Amy likes the ballad.
Who likes the ballads? Cause come up and I'll do a little number with you. Come on up. Come on up, Amy. We'll do a ballad together. I look after you. Come on. Do you want to sing from there where you're sitting down?
Sophie, do you want to sing?
A hungry feeling came on me stealing, and the mice they were squealing in my prison cell. And the old triangle, it went jingle jangle along the banks of the Royal Canal. Oh, the screw was peeping as he lay sleeping, as he lay there weeping for his girl's sad. And the old triangle, it went jingle jangle along the banks of the Royal Canal. Did you know that one? The old triangle, who wrote that? An Irish writer. Brendan Behan wrote that. And I went into Mountjoy and I stopped beating the drum, just telling a little story. So I went into, Mountjoy, the male prison, and Docus is the female prison. And so I went into Mountjoy and was invited into their education centre, which was a real honour. I went in, and for their Christmas party a couple of years ago, they invited me to come in and much like drop everything and read, talk about my own kind of background and how I enjoyed learning and how I enjoyed reading and where reading and learning brought me to now, today, and how I can express myself. So I opened up with that, and they brought me and they told me about the old triangle and where the origin of that song, where it came from. And it's the triangle that they ring for dinner time in, I forget what it's called. the area, it's not a pentagon, I forget what the area calls, it's a specific shape it's named after, but it's the landing place when you get into the main prison, you know, and you'd walk through to get into the education centre. And I thought I was performing to 50, sorry? I don't know whether it was 8 or what it was. It was a prism. Prism I know isn't the same thing, but we're talking about size. I forget what it was, but I'll let you know when I remember, right? But anyway, so they brought me into that area and they showed me, and it was great because I was able to I just sang that song, and it was just ironic that they were able to tell me the story of where that came from, and Brendan Behan having written that song about the L triangle and hearing that bell ringing and thinking about freedom and thinking about Irish culture and our Irish literary leaders, people who inspired me and wrote ballads and songs. Tell us any of the ballads you know, and I'll see if I know any of them.
I like Luke Henry, Christy Moore.
Yeah, and do you know black is the colour? You know that one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Will you give us a chant? I call it a chant. Give us a chant, please. Wouldn't we love to hear her do a chant? Yeah. And if I can do a bit of a rhythm, I'll do a small bit of a rhythm. Alright, fair enough. Right. And I tell you, who wrote this song, Bold Girls?
Okay.
Don't do it just yet because we still have time. I still got a good bit of time. You don't have to sing it, no, but I would love to hear. If you wanted to sing it, you could. We still got a little bit of time. I want to hurry up because I want to get through the books as well. So basically, I just thought it was great when Miss Purcell told me about this Bold Girls song that you done with Gardy McCarthy. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, because I have a song called Buckley Donna. Buckley Donna Asperla. Colleen Rua Asperla. And Colleen Rua Asperla. Colleen Rua. Where does mock come from? Where did the mocks at? Hands up the mocks. Oh. So, okay, so Colleen Mock, like one of my first DJ told me. My first DJ, I thought was great, told me about where Mock comes from. It comes from Colleen Mock, good girl. Colleen Mock, so Colleen Rua. All the Colleen Rua, put your hands up. I'm Colleen Rua, red girl, right? That's what it means basically. So I wrote this poem called Colleen Rua, but I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do Buckley Donna, because it's about the boys, and in hindsight, thinking about what I'm telling you about Mountjoy and that, and the male prisoners. Subsequently, I went into Docus, because I asked them, I said, look, why don't you have me go into the women's prison and talk to them? So I had a chat with them and done a bit of a show and that. But I want to do Buckley Donna. We do the Bold Boys one. I do a verse, it's really long, it's like 72 bars. All the music people will know what I'm talking about. It's really long. Even rappers be like, why are you spitting 72 bars? It's way too long. I don't think it's long. That's the way I structure my writing, and I like it, right? So that's another thing I want to tell you. When I start talking about the books, I'm going to tell you about my writing style, right? Buckley Donna. Garda Síochána obsolete as a kind lemachunga. Gauge our youth's ages, planted sizes into Malin. Great respect for us and our global mongrel breed. Other blood there's not spilled where the Irish blood bleeds free. Strange blend of gruff, feral, shyness, pride, conceit. Carp before the horse, abolish I after E. Ireland versus Aaron, bring it back to back in the day. God conceives all worship within hedges with it to pray. Illegalised school and teaching, banished the native tongue. Trading our heaven's sakes for souls through emigration. Our motherland's miscarriage, 4 green fields orphaned. Enslavement, abomination like a black brothers auctions. Heritage reclaimed, flag embers, the wearing of the green. Protest arrest for not laughing at the term Jackie. The idea of earning all petty whackers wear a gun. The pneumonia-induced cell murders can never be undone. Raised on songs and stories, negligence design. The parting bounds of heroes and marrow dust refined. The noblest of shells, set adrift on foam that knows how where it's from. So it borrows our home, settles its own. heroes and stories, negligence designed, the parching bones of heroes and marrow dust refined. The noblest of shells set adrift on foam that knows not where it's from, so it burrows at home, still as its own. Shy about clapping and giving respect and love is great. I went to a theatre show there recently for a Fringe Festival, which is a theatrical kind of festival that happens every September, and I was the only person to do a standing ovation. What's a standing ovation?
Stand up.
Yeah, so one of you stand up there on your own, out of the blue. Go on. See how scarlet you'd be. I did that willingly because I'm not afraid about giving respect to performers. It was a one-woman show called Unwoman. I'm not promoting her, and it was fantastic. So that's the story. So anyway, that was just a side note. If you just turn slightly over here, I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell about these books, right? These don't have to all come over here, but I'll lift them up so you can see them, right? So first I'll go back to way back, even before I call myself temperamental. Right, oh my shut. Okie dokie, right, here we go. So check this out, right, me granddad bought me that. Remember I was talking about me granddad?
Yeah.
What did me granddad say about me?
You study books, not read them.
And that I'm like him, and that I study books that I don't read, that I study. Yes. So he brought me that, he used to live over in England, he brought me that back. And it's called Sir Abner and His Grape Pickers. So I just want to say, oh, look at that. Now I defaced. That was a bit of a graffiti art, an illegitimate graffiti artist. Look how you see I was a visual artist as well back when I should have been reading. I was drawing. No harm in that, right? So I just want to say how that influenced me. You know, I used to think about this kind of literature and this kind of literature, which my sister used to read. So I would read stuff like that. So my grandfather was trying to influence me from kind of biblical references from the Bible, right? Y'all know the Bible, okay, as a book, whatever. Okay, and then this one is like Aesop's Fables. So this is stories that are oriented around morals. Y'all know what morals are, right? What's the moral? The moral of the story is
Like the meaning.
the meaning, or like a lesson, right? Like a moral lesson, right? So these now the story, right? Let's use the picture to cover as an example.
It's a race.
Right, so what about that story? Tell me what you know about that story. That Aesop's fable. Aesop, not sure. That fable, that story. What happened between the hare and the tortoise? The tortoise won. Yeah, and what happened? So they had a race, the tortoise won. What's the meat in the middle? Tell me more about the story.
Everyone thought that the hare was going to win because it was faster, and he used to always say that the turtle was slow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And who also thought that the hare was going to win? The hare really thought he was going to win, and he was so cocksure that he took a bit of a nap against a tree, didn't he? He had his legs kicked up.
He was too lucky about it,
Yeah, right. So the moral of the story is, I guess, well, I forget what the moral of the story is specifically. I'm sure it's worded very beautifully. But yeah, so anyway, the moral of the story, you know, it's very interesting way to read and to have final points. So beginning, middle and end. So I love that about my way of writing. I found it hard to have that kind of, have a moral at the end of the story, or have a punchline to the joke, right? I would find it hard to kind of structure it, like here's an intro, here's the middle point, and here's the outro, you know. Have we got enough time? Am I going over?
Yeah, you're going over, but I can arrange it with the other teachers.
Oh, would it be all?
I'll go and find out who they would have.
Ah, Jamie, sorry now. I hope I'm not collaring you.
Miss O'Connell and two. Miss Roach and Miss O'Connell.
Right, you are great, and thanks to the mentors for coming along. And thanks for staying with me for a little bit longer, because I'd love to tell you a bit more. I shouldn't have brought so many of the damn things. So here we go. So, thanks, girls.
Thanks, girl.
See you. Right, so do you remember that? So this girl, you pricked up your ears, right? So we're buzzing. So anyway, so Roald Dahl, so I was bought books like this, and that's kind of what got me into rhyming. As well as Dr. Seuss. You know Dr. Seuss? He wrote that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Right, so those kind of things really inspired me to start to get to rap on that, you know? And even on the note of like other languages and that. Yeah, Garfield, right, so I would have, I got this like German version of Garfield, because I was learning German in school, because my sister's done French, so I wanted to learn German to be different, right? So I got this like German Garfield, and it was really easy to start to pick up on a new language because it was in a cartoon form, right? So I thought that was dead cool, yeah? And also what I wanted to show you was the fact that, like, with regard to drop everything and read and book in the bag and all that, like, I always got like a book in my bag. Even if I don't read it on that day, I find it's good to have it just to, because I'm in school too, so I'm in 3rd level, so it's important for me to always be ready to kind of get into that zone, because sometimes I'm not in the zone for reading, but once I have my book, once I'm packing my book, I'm brand new. But it doesn't have to be books, and this is the mistake I made for years. I was thinking I have to read like, you know, historical books or like books from cover to cover, and it's not the case. You don't have to do that. And even now when I'm writing third level essays and that, like, it's hard, it is hard work, but it gets easier. And what helped me was reading a variety of things, right? So sometimes, as well as a book, what I'd have is like a magazine, and I bought this when I was 14. It's from 2002, right? So it's years old, so I'm great for keeping them. And it's like, it's in German as well, so it's a hip-hop magazine. It's mostly advertisements, mind you, but it was handy for me to start looking at like graffiti and articles about graffiti and articles about rap, picking up on new words from a different language as well, you know. And also like different types of reading. Like, I don't know whether you have any of these in your library, like
One over there.
deadly. So you have magazines and that, and zines as well. So there's that. I'm into motorbikes. I got into motorbikes when I was really young, and that's why I got into that. And it's not a typical read for a woman, but nowadays they actually have like dog breeding magazines and dirt bike magazines specifically for women, right? Or with more of a feminine touch. I don't know why they feel the need to. I guess maybe they wanted to make young women feel more comfortable buying things like dirt bikes, or dirt bike magazines, and getting involved, BMX magazines, skateboard magazines, you know what I'm saying? So these are real dirty, don't mind them, they're years old. These are called zines. Myself and Miss Purcell were talking about them, and like, this is a really interesting way of finding a way to, a path towards your own voice, actually developing your own way of like communicating a social message. You know what I mean when I say like a social message or socio-political message? Something that's social, that's political. So it's talking about like consent culture. So it's talking about sexuality and healthy open communication about that. That's a whole other subject, but it's a really important topic for me, especially for even what I write about as a rapper and as a poet today. It's really important for me as a woman to represent young women and young men in that way, you know. So anyway, so that's that, and that's another one. So these are like things I collected over the years, and I just won't throw them away. I'll just tell you, I'm going to pick 3 more to tell you about, and then I'm going to do one more performance and let you all go. So thank you so much for lending your ears. You've been really good and attentive. So after school I done a PLC course. Do you know what that is? Post-leaving cert anyway, right? So I done this post-leaving cert, and it was a motor vehicle technology. And because I was into motorbikes, so I wanted to be able to fix my own bike, because I felt like, I don't want to rely all the time on a fella to do something for me. So I wanted to be able to be autonomous and to fix my own bike and change the spark plug and do the little things, you know. So anyway, one fella that inspired me, who was a fellow student of mine in that course, was over in Kylemore College, you know. Colester College in Ballyfermot, right? And my cousins go there as well, because it's a secondary and a college, right? So basically this fella gave me this book, Zen and D.E.A.R. Motorcycle Maintenance, and I decided that I was going to read that in conjunction with while I was studying mechanics, because it was really relevant, because the main character in the story, that's exactly what he's doing. He's on a journey, on a spiritual journey, as well as on a journey to understand bikes and to appreciate technology in that way. And I just really felt I totally identified with it. And I'm going to be really honest, I've only ever read up to, look, where is it marked? I'm a third of the way through. That's a good few years ago. So don't be ashamed if you don't finish books, but I would encourage you not to be like me and leave it. So anyway, on this note as well, this is a book, a kind of a book I like, because you can pick it up and you can open it on any page, right? And it's like a poem book, so if you pick it up, open it randomly, you just get like whatever you're going to read in that moment. Spontaneous, right? Because I like spontaneity. I like to be free like that, yeah? So I remember when I read this, it's called, John Donne is the name of the poet, and like, I remember like, I don't know whether y'all are do Shakespeare in junior cert anymore?
Yeah.
Do you do Shakespeare?
Third
right?
year.
In third year, right? So is it first and second year, or third or third years? First and second, right? Anyway, so the third years they'll be doing like we doing King Lear, and I remember feeling so insecure, so incompetent. I just felt like I couldn't do anything in third year, because when they introduced me to Shakespeare, to King Lear, it wasn't King Lear, it was Romeo and Juliet. I thought it was Holy Romeo and Juliet. I just thought, I didn't understand this iambic pentameter, which is the rhythm, the way that it rhymes and the way that the words sit together in the phrases. And I just felt really insecure, like I was never going to get it, you know? And then after I was telling you about the motor vehicle technology, when I got to my post-leaving certificate, we started doing, I done King Lear for my leaving cert, and all of a sudden, because I was scripting my own rhymes and that, and my own raps as well, one day it was just like, boom, it just dropped and I understood. I just understood it, I got it, you know what I mean? And it felt like I earned it without any effort on my part. But it was effort on my part because I was really willing to open my mind, because I used to be kind of judgmental of it as well. I used to think saying good morning is posh, for example, you know what I mean? That's strange. Now it's, you know what I mean? It's a weird one, but I really did. So you can imagine if I thought that, I had a lot of judgments about, like when those girls were saying, do you read a dictionary for records? I had my own hang-ups about what type of literature I was allowed to read, or what type of kind of education I was entitled to engage with, right? But anyway, it just dropped, and then I went into theatre school. My dad always slags me because I say theatre. So he goes, theatre, because I pronounce the TH, you know what I mean? Because I don't say theatre. But theatre is cool as well, and lots of the boys that used to be doing all these Shakespearean monologues used to be saying theatre, and that's okay too, but for me, I want to be able to say both of them. I want to be able to show people that I can say both of them, you know. So anyway, I'll just read this, and I'm going to read it in my own accent, right? This kind of, this poem by this guy, John Donne, who's from the same era, so the same style of expression, that archaic, which means old school, that archaic kind of type of writing. And I read this it was like on radio for a child line for this festival called Lingo. It's gone now, but it used to be a spoken word festival called Lingo. And I was to read a poem of my choice to support child on Radio 1 on RTE Arena Arts. So I read this, and I remember one of the professors there, after I read it, he says, I love the way you read it in her own voice. And I thought, I just kept it quiet because I'm humble. I thought, what voice am I going to read it in? You know, maybe he thought that I was supposed to read it real suave, like Shakespearean, or kind of like with that archaic English tone. But anyway, I'm going to read it in my accent just for the crack, right? And then I'll leave us with that, right? The flea. Mark but this flea and mark in this. How little that which thou deniest me is. It sucked me first and now sucks thee, and in this flea our two bloods mingled be. Thou knowest that this cannot be said a sin nor shame nor loss of maidenhead, yet this enjoys before its woo, and pampered swells with one blood made of two. And this, alas, is more than we would do. Oh stay, 3 lives in one flea spare, where we almost, yea, more than married are. This flea is you and I, and this our marriage bed and marriage temple is. Though parents grudge and you were met, and cloistered in these living walls of jet. Though use make you apt to kill me, let not to that self-murder added be. And sacrilege, 3 sins in killing 3. Cruel and sudden hast thou since, purpled thy nail in blood of innocence. Wherein could this flea guilty be, except in that drop which it sucked from thee? Yet thou triumphst, and sayest that thou find'st not thyself, nor me the weaker now. 'Tis true, then learn how false fears be. Just so much honour, when thou yield'st to me, will waste as this flea's death took life from thee. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyway, so maybe, I don't know whether your teachers might want to interpret that. It might be a bit advanced, I don't know, but it's an interesting poem and I love it. And it's actually a love poem. It's talking about 2 lovers, because love is just a topic that prevails in every musical genre, in every subject that there is. Philosophy, you name it, everything, it's there. Biology, it's all there. So thank you. I loved you listening to me today, and I loved you sharing your energy with me. I hope I didn't drain you too much, because I know I'm real high energy. But yeah, so thank you so much. I'll leave those there. If you want to have a little quick glance, I'll take a few pictures. I don't know whether you're allowed your phones of just some of these pieces. Some of them are classics, some of them are different types of books, but I really hope that you were inspired to read a little bit today, and also to not only read but to express yourself verbally, to express yourself through communication the way that you want to be and how you are exactly, because that's perfect. Thank you. Oh, I'd love to hear both girls, yeah.
Both girls for Elaine.
Oh, no.
So many of the girls are here.
my voice to start with.
You start off with how many rappers are in the song?
Like the whole second do like male up, but if you perform.
Yeah. The whole of the second year is wrote.
Girls just wanna have fun. They might wanna go out and get their nails done, but they can also pick up a controller. Fellas move over, touch them on the shoulder. Boys always seem to get their own way. I tell me man what they say, like we can't do this and we can't do that. They think a lot of things are just for a man, like football, fighting and pizza. I think you're scared that I beat ya. We're standing up to the stereotypes. We got more power than dynamite. Oh, we're just some old girls. Sick of these boys trying to rule our world. Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. Oh, we're just some old girls. Sick of these boys trying to rule our world. Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. I see him as that bully boy standing over there. You think you're the big man pulling girls' hair. You think that girls can fight, but most of the time you boys ain't right. Don't underestimate the power of the girls. Make up half of the people in the world. You might think you're stronger, but us girls live longer. Oh, we're just some old girls. Sick of these boys trying to rule our world. Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. Oh, we're just some old girls. Sick of these boys trying to rule our world. Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. Curves, stretch marks, we have it all. Don't expect us to look like a Barbie doll. We come in all shapes and sizes. No need for any disguise. Oh shh, little boy, I'll say one last thing. Us girls aren't all about fashion and bling. Just like you, we have a right to shout out to my female, my crew. Oh, we're just some old girls.
Shout to my females, my crew.
Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. Oh, we're just some old girls. Sick of these boys trying to rule our world. Don't underestimate us. Don't underestimate us. I beat ya!
I love it. That's such a great.
It's like what you said, you know, like to grow up and know your own way, like fiction, might like yourself.
Yeah, so we have some really interesting being said here. What? That was nice. What were you saying?
Oh, like, you know the way like you said over there, like, oh, like, I didn't want to depend on any of that fella to like fix me more or boyfriend.
Yeah,
Like, that's what you were trying to say in the
Right, totally, and I totally hear that as well.
yourself, yeah.
And that was amazing. And I was saying, talking about love and connection, and talk about that zine about sexual consent and stuff, and how I think in this country now we're trying to develop sex education a bit more, so that things are clearer, things are better, things are improved for the quality of life for young people yourselves coming up. You just have to represent, and so with a song like that that was really articulate and really well put together and produced excellently as well. Fair play to Gary for producing it, but you was doing all the scripting, deciding what would be, how you would tell the story, how you would tell the narrative. Like, I hope you're spitting that like a cappella. You know what a cappella is, right? Without music.
Yeah.
You don't need the beat, you just need the rhythm in your mind or whatever, or rhythm in your heart. So like, I hope you're all spitting that every time you get a chance. And do you know everyone's verse? Do you know? Do you want to do it live? I'll do a beatbox and we'll just do a few of the verses live.
That would be cool to have that opportunity.
Yeah, we have a few minutes. You're after getting a few minutes for your
It's
teacher.
not our English class, so whatever you want to go to.
Oh, there, that's great. Yeah.
Amy, come sit up beside Katie.
I'll do a beatbox if you want, or if you have the beat.
With Ashton for Trinity.
Just clear. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you right there?
Not there because I was away at the airport. It's wraparound. Right, someone just spit a small little verse. Come on up. You spit your verse. You and me. Come on. Here, look. Remember I done the standing ovation on my own in a whole theatre in Trinity College? Thank you.
That's it. Right, so like what I said.
Just spit one of your verses. So that means recite one of your verses.
Like how far do I have to go with?
There's no rules.
And then you can stop moving on.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, once you have a bit of structure, I know it's kind of scary to just freestyle.
No.
Everyone's always going to critique you. They're entitled to critique you, so you just enjoy it, have fun, right? Okay, so I'll do my Scaldy beatbox, right?
Girls just wanna have fun. You might wanna go out, get their nails done. But they can also pick up a controller. Fellas move over and nudge them on the shoulder. Boys only seem to get their own way. I tell me ma what they say, like we can't do this and we can't do that. They think a lot of things that are just for a man, like football, fighting and pieces. I think you're scared that I'll beat this. We're standing up to the stereotype. We got more power than dynamite.
Yeah! See what I mean? It doesn't need to be all formal and proper. That's what hip hop is about, and like it's about just off the cuff freestyling and about communicating and supporting each other. It's all about exchange, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I love. And that's what I love about this social situation. It's one thing to be like reading a book and learning. When you're reading and learning the book, or scripting your verses, or writing, or whatever, or even when you're learning a poem off by heart, if you have to compare and contrast, it's just you and that piece of literature. It's this kind of relationship, which is lovely. It's solitary and it's special. But what's great about this live kind of social connection is that you have that same exchange going on, but you got all feedback, you got feelings, you got fear, you got anticipation, you got, like, it's great, it's really important, and it's through that you'll grow, and then you keep growing, you know what I mean? So brilliant, so thank you so much for sharing.